Hi, my name is Josh Baer, and I am making this video to help the companies that are preparing for the Rise pitches coming up this week. So this is about 5 minutes long, and I hope it'll be helpful in helping you make sure your pitches are the best they can be. So the topic of this is 5 secrets to a killer elevator pitch. Now, an elevator pitch is the first thing you're going to say to someone when they've never heard of your company before. And it's really important to understand that you don't have a lot of time, and there's a good chance that the person you're talking to may not be the right person. They may not care about what you're doing. And so your goal is not to hit a home run. You're not trying to slam dunk convince this person that this is the best idea ever. You're more looking for a single. You want to make sure that, can you get on base? Can you get this person interested? Can you make them care about what you're doing? Can you figure out, are they the right person for you to be talking to? And this is something that everybody in your company should be able to do. Even whether it's the CEO or the programmer or the person working the front desk, everyone there has an important role. Everybody there meets other people and talks about their company and what they do, and everyone should be able to talk about it the same way and give a good impression about what your company is trying to do. So I've given a lot of pitches. I've pitched at TechCrunch 50. I've helped people prepare for a demo. I've done the Accelerator. I've done Innotech. And I'm pretty sure that if you adopt these 5 techniques, if you take your pitch and you adopt these 5 things to it, it's going to make it a lot better for you. So the first thing is focus on the problem, not on your solution. So, it's the pain. It's the why does this cost people time and money? Why are people going to care about this? Spend a bunch of time explaining what the problem is and why it matters without talking anything about what your solution is. And it's kind of funny, the shorter your pitch is, the less time you have, the bigger percentage you should spend talking about the problem. If you only have a minute, you really probably should pretty much just talk about the problem. If the person you're talking to has that problem, you'll get another minute to tell them about your solution. But that first minute is really about making them identify with the problem you're trying to solve and why it's really important. As you get into a longer pitch, if you have a 10-minute pitch, well, maybe you spend the first 2 or 3 minutes talking about the problem, really building it up, helping people to understand it really well, and then dive into your solution. So the next thing is telling a story. We're all wired to hear and listen to stories. It's no surprise that little kids, get told stories all growing up. And we enjoy watching movies and hearing other stories. It's easy for people to pay attention to a story and for them to remember it and for them to repeat it back to other people later. And so it's much better if you can tell your pitch like a story. A lot of times you might be telling the story of what it's like to have this problem and how bad it is, and then the story of how that improves with your solution. If you don't tell a story, if you just list out a bunch of features or things like that, then it's really just going to go in one ear and out the other. People aren't going to really hear you. They're not going to understand it, and they're not going to retain what you're trying to say. So the more that you can weave it into a story that they're going to be able to relate to, be able to share with others, the better off you're going to be. The next thing is you've got to use 4th grade language. A lot of people's tendency is to use big words and try to sound important, to make they feel like using big words makes them sound official or somehow better than other things. But actually, big words usually really get in the way. They make it so that people don't really understand what you're trying to say because most people don't talk in big words. And so the more that you can dumb it down, explain it really simply, using really simple words, the more that you're going to get people's attention and you're going to be able to really communicate with them and have them understand what you're trying to say. When you use a lot of big words, a lot of people are just going to tune you out. They're not even really going to hear it. So it's really important to use language that a 4th grader can understand. You've got to have a killer closing. It's like a lot of times I've seen so many pitches where people go through their whole deal. They have a great start. They make all these compelling points, and then they just say, "Thanks, I'm done." I mean, it's so anticlimactic. This is your big chance to leave them with a killer value prop. Really, ideally, just a one-liner or a one sentence that they're really going to remember. If there's only one thing they're going to remember in this whole thing, it's probably going to be the last thing you say. So pay a lot of attention to it. Don't just fizzle on it. And finally, you got to practice. You got to practice it a lot, just like with everything else in life. The more that you practice giving your pitch, the more comfortable you'll be. The easier it's going to flow off your tongue. The more you're going to be able to adapt on the fly to different circumstances or different types of people. You're not always going to get the chance to just give your pitch without anyone interrupting you. And the more practiced you are, the more comfortable you are, the better you're going to be able to handle it. And at that level, it's not like you actually say the same thing every time, but it always sounds the same. It sounds consistent, even though you're able to mix it up a little bit because you have so much practice. I really recommend that you record yourself. It's so easy today with video cameras everywhere on computers and phones and elsewhere. you really should record yourself and see what it looks like when you give your pitch. You'll learn a lot from it, and I guarantee you'll walk away with a number of specific improvements you can make. So that's really what it comes down to. Focus on the problem, tell a story, use fourth grade language, have a killer closing, and practice, practice, practice. If you can do those 5 things, I think your pitch is going to be a lot better, and you'll perform better at the upcoming Rise sessions. Thanks. My name's Josh Baer with Capital Factory, and I hope you guys do great. I'll see you next week.